I got a fire in me. You're gonna set to burn. We got a world to see and all the time to learn.
Hi everybody, welcome to the MC Squared podcast. This is episode 10. Today I think we're going to talk about AI, some of the pros, the cons, and maybe get into some political discussions like we always do. I'm Andrew McNeil, and I'm joined today by my co-host
Jimmy McCanna.
All right, fantastic. Jimmy, how has life been treating you?
Life's been great, actually. Yeah. Nice weather outside. My oldest has graduated from high school. Officially have the graduation party at the park this weekend.
And everyone's invited, right? We just put that out there.
Pretty much everybody's invited already. So I think there'll be walking tacos and a small fruit cup for those who will be attending.
All right.
Yes.
Write large checks. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about AI because it's a big deal. It's all over the news.
It's a big deal.
Elon Musk has talked about it to a large extent. He has, in his words, warned that there needed to be regulations the last 10, 15 years. So there's a big concern that it's going to take over the world, that we're not going to be able to control it, and then eventually the robots are going to control us. So let's talk about what the positives, because I think you're a big fan of it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I'm an optimist.
I mean, I don't even know if you're real here right now.
I know.
I mean, you're probably...
Actually, everything that I am saying right now, no, it's not intelligent enough to be artificial intelligence.
Oh, don't say
This is called NI, natural intelligence, or ChatGTP.
Right,
which is that generative text that comes from... and that's kind of what the main basis of that is. And there's different levels of it. And I've tried to learn a little bit about it, where it comes from, how it learns.
So let's explain how it works. So I have seen, I've seen someone generate the beginning of a newsletter article, or I've heard of a student helping to complete an essay, or something to do with their lessons. So explain how that works.
So I didn't know much about it. I for some reason, I woke up in the middle of the night. Monday morning, 3 a.m. And I just couldn't go to sleep for 5 minutes, which is kind of weird for me. So I had YouTube. I turned YouTube on, which I watch it on the TV, watch disc golf and stuff. But I had something on, so I watched it, and it was about AI, and I was like, that's interesting. So I went to my phone at 3 a.m., downloaded an app. And then the only thing, because my brain was like half functioning at that point, I'm like, I wonder if this works. So then I asked it, I typed into the app, I said, tell me how to do an incentive spirometer. So that's a device that we use in respiratory therapy that I have videos on with my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I know everything, like
what is that video?
A lot about
What
it.
is that video channel, Jimmy?
It's called RT Clinic if you want to follow it.
Right.
But
a little plug
it doesn't have a lot to do with this, but that's okay. Anyway, I've done videos on it. It's something that's great to instruct patients on. So I asked it how to do it. And it sat there and thought, and it gave this, essentially said, this is done by a healthcare provider, and gave a 10-step process of exactly how to do it perfectly. And I read that at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And I fell asleep. So then I woke up the next day, and I started looking at the app again. I started asking it some just other questions. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, because if I didn't know, maybe I had this device and knew it was called, I could get in my phone, instead of doing a Google search and looking through all this different stuff, it just essentially types it out for me.
That's great.
So it kind of did a little bit of the work for me, right? So I see in that aspect, I would like people to go and watch a video. I think sometimes videos are a little easier. Somebody can show you how things are done. But I use YouTube a lot to fix cars. I've fixed my furnace. I've fixed like everything in my house with YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Right.
But I'm wondering if this is something else that you could possibly do to get instructions on fixing things.
Yeah.
And
that's
so I see it from that aspect. The healthcare aspect is really neat. I know that there is some definite negative, because you're like, who's behind the scenes controlling this stuff? I did hear some stuff this week that was specifically brought up that Candace Owens brought up about.
Okay.
Did you see that?
No.
Did you see that? So I mean, there was something. I don't know if it was on TikTok or whatever it was, but it was a clip from one of her shows that showed they asked AI to tell a joke about Jesus, and it actually told a joke about Jesus. And then they asked the same AI, tell me a joke about Muhammad, and it said, we don't want to get into religious figures.
Yes.
So anyway, I tried that on my app. I have a free app. I can ask 3 questions a day. I tried on my app. It wouldn't touch either one of the. It wouldn't touch the Jesus question. It wouldn't touch the Muhammad question. Okay. So I thought, well, maybe this is slightly better, or maybe it's learned that it shouldn't go that direction, because that there is some on the backside. There are people that are changing this stuff.
I've heard a lot of stories about the bias built in politically. They talk about, give me a description. What are some of the great things Donald Trump has done versus some of the great things that Joe Biden? And it kind of was handled the same way. It sounds that religious question was. They weren't going to get into it with Donald Trump, which sounded fine, but then they went in glowing terms about Joe Biden. So it was, the biases, it seems to be pretty clear. And then they had some pretty, who's putting the information in? Because honestly, it's not pure artificial intelligence in the fact that it still has to have had the information, the guidelines, the algorithms programmed by a human. Yeah. So, and we know humans are flawed. We aren't perfect. So what's the mindset? What's the worldview? What's the agenda of the person who's putting that in? And I think that's a kind of a serious concern, but that's not actually the way I would look at the cons of this. To me, I've heard that a local college, and I don't want to, I'm pretty sure this has happened, but I'm not going to name the college because I'm not 100% I heard this firsthand from a student. They've agreed off year, so it'll be coming up that they're going to allow AI to be used for school papers. And I know there are several professors that don't have an issue with it. A lot of professors will have, this is again what I'm told, some kind of a filter where they can pick up that a paper has used AI, so they can kind of weed out. But some of them hate it, some of them love it, whatever. But they see it as a way to help students who have an issue reading and writing. I have an issue with that, problem with that, because isn't college to educate and to help people with? I mean, you should be. It's about reading and writing, and it needs, you develop your writing skills. To me, if you're using AI to do an essay, whatever, how many word essay on some subject, good Lord, first of all, it's doing the research for you. It's doing the writing for you. You just slap your name on the end of it. That is zero learning.
Yeah. Well,
zero learning.
I really think, and I saw some of this specifically. I watched a TED Talk today that had, I don't know his first name, but he's from the Khan Academy.
Jimmy came prepared.
Well,
he watched a TED Talk.
I watched. I'm so educated now. I watched TED. Actually, I watched 2 of them, but I thought it was really interesting. He was talking about it from the Khan Academy. If you're not familiar with Khan Academy, it's online learning, and I personally know, I just met with somebody, one of our friends who works at a local college, ISU, and he works as an adjunct, and usually gets quite a few classes. This fall, they gave him 1 class because enrollment's so low at the local college. Well, I think you start resting in this stuff if you're as far as an instructor side, and you take that aspect that you have as a human to be able to be able to teach and have emotion and just to be a true educator.
Right.
You take that out and you start allowing this stuff. I'm staying at home and doing college, and I'll go to someplace else. Right. I don't need to go to class. So I think what they're doing is they're kind of writing their own ticket with this, because if you say, I think we could use this, then what good are you other than giving the check mark at the end? And I'm just that's just from my perspective. Well, I think there's a lot of options for education with this. No, I will listen to the guy from the Khan Academy, so he's obviously leading in that direction. But there's some AI built in that they have now that can do teaching of students in math.
Right. And
it won't tell them the answer, but it's smart enough to actually see. It'll beat around the answer and it'll ask them what they think it is. And it will say, why didn't you use the distributive property here in this case?
Sure.
I mean, smart enough to know that. And it's like, okay, so then...
But let me bring this up to you, because this is a very pertinent subject, because it's happening in real time right now. We're seeing society transformed so quickly with this that in a year we may not even recognize some of the things that we're used to as far as some of these industries or education. I think education specifically.
Yeah.
There is a school corporation one county over that has agreed that their guidance counselors for mentally challenged kids dealing with mental illness. Okay. Can go to an AI chat to talk about it and to get help. Now, that is...
So they're encouraging them to do
yes.
this?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It is...
That's lazy.
It's lazy, and it's actually going to exacerbate the situation, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because the kid's not stupid. They know they're talking to a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're already dealing with loneliness or insecurity or some other issue, how is that helped when an adult won't even take the time to talk with you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem.
Or take the time to get educated by a conference or whatever it would be, or by reading or by studying, to then be able to help you. No, I'm just going to let the computer, and you're talking about these different AI generators. I actually took what was said about that in STEM Spirometer, and I put it in another app that is an AI identifier, and it identified it. They said this section right here is highly probable that it's AI.
Wow.
So it took the verbiage and said it was probable AI.
Yeah. So if you changed a couple words.
I didn't try that. I should have.
Change a couple words, especially ones that are repeated. Because that's usually how they pick up, because it'll repeat a word over and over again.
Gotcha.
I guess is what I've been told. So
anyway.
Well, but see, with the deal with this whole emotional counselor, whatever it is, someone dealing with mental illness, I mean, you know this. We're married, right?
Yeah.
Your wife come to you with an issue or a problem. Sometimes, a lot of times, she's not looking for answers. She's looking for someone who's going to listen and have empathy and just listen. The problem we get into is trying to fix the problem or give her the perfect answer or whatever it is. And it is funny, because that's what we're trying to fix something. But that's not what they're looking for. And I think even with some of this, they just want another human to hear them and care. How in the world? How impersonal? I just see nothing but disaster with this.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
So
what county is that?
That's Clay County.
Really?
Yeah. So okay. So let's talk about this a little bit then. Take this further, because this reminds me. I'm old enough. We're going to date ourselves a little bit here. I'm old enough to remember when there was no email. I remember when the internet was like the begin, like people were like, "What?"
Before Al Gore.
It was, I didn't think Al Gore was anything to do with it, so I was stunned when when he invented it. I was stunned to hear about that. But so email totally transformed business. I mean, business, and we saw no end in sight in that. Email is just email marketing, email sales, email communications. It's huge. The internet is not getting smaller; it's getting bigger. I think about Facebook. Think about the changes that took place when Facebook came out. And it was, at the time there was MySpace, which was a clunky, goofy, buggy version of, there was nothing like what Facebook was. Facebook has transformed, it's transformed our lives. A lot of it probably not positive, but it has transformed our lives. I think this is similar to that kind of a technological breakthrough, in the fact, even look at our iPhones or our phones, that's transformed. This is here to stay, I guess what I'm trying to say. there's going to be some really good things that happen. The only
Yeah.
reason it would be here to stay is because of that. Is because it's going to enhance our lives. It's going to improve some aspect of our life, and it's going to become invaluable. However, there's going to be downsides to it, and there's going to be things that we're going to hope that somebody is there to kind of rein things in and maybe have some boundaries or guidelines.
Well, and this is the whole reason why I don't want to totally. I'm not to totally like say this is the worst thing ever.
Right.
Because if you say let's limit this and let's do this, it's already built.
Yeah.
It's going to keep growing.
Right.
Do you want people that are trustworthy, that are patriots, that are good people to be a part of this?
Absolutely.
Or do you want them to put their head in the sand and let
Right.
let everybody else who's
Right.
got ill intentions take
Right.
it? And so, it could definitely be used, but I mean, we have these big rectangular objects in our living room
Right.
that are manipulated beyond belief. Right. And we sit in front of them and watch them.
Yes,
We can't
yes.
even watch Jeopardy without having something shoved down our
It's true.
throat.
It's true.
So, I mean, I'm just saying that there's so much of this all over the place, and this comes in, you're like, this, and you're not saying this, but I mean, this is the worst thing ever. No, I mean, it can be used in an amazing way, and I think we need to be a part of it so that it definitely need to have guardrails. Because it could go off the hinges.
Did you see what happened last week with the fake AI video that they did?
No.
Showed a fire and bomb something outside the Pentagon
Oh, really?
as a news story, and it was picked up by news organizations as real.
Oh, my gosh.
It was
How
in
dumb do they
30
look?
minutes. The stock market had absolutely crashed, and then they figured out it was fake, and it was able to recover. But a lot of people had lost a lot of money. There was a big blip in it because of it. It's a problem. There's going to have to be, and there will be, because it's no different than, operating systems when you got the bugs, the viruses, the ability to hack it. So then, the operating system has to put a patch out or something to change it. They're going to make sure that they can't constantly do fake news and
That's it.
literally destroy the economies over it. And it'd be so convincing because it can be in the person's voice. You can do an AI video of somebody and it is literally their mannerisms and looks just like them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think what's
worms.
going to happen is maybe initially there's going to be these little,
Yes.
but it's going to turn in, like you said, to like fake news.
yeah.
We are made in such an amazing way. Our brains are that we will probably in the future we'll be able to read something and we'll say that's AI.
Yeah. You're probably right.
There will be intuition of our human brain
Yeah.
that's beyond artificial intelligence. We'll say that's AI, just like we watch the news. That's fake news. That's
Yeah.
not real.
Yep.
Or that's this or that's that. I mean, I fully believe that when in God's plan, He's knew that there was going to be Chat GTP 4 coming out in this year. But He said, you know
think
what?
it didn't take God by surprise?
I've put brains that they're only using 9% of,
Yeah.
to be able to do this. But the one aspect that AI does not have, and I love the intelligence part, right? Artificial intelligence part, but the human intelligence is so much different because there's the emotional aspect. And what is the number one quality that we've been given? And I know I always turn this back into like a God Christian thing, but love.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that you can give somebody exact, you can give them a knowledge, you can give them the exact words they can read to gain knowledge, but until they have that love, they'll seek it. It won't not like they're going to be looking for these other things, but they're going to seek what they don't have.
Yeah.
And so that's where God's ultimate plan comes in. It's almost, I like to think of it as almost like apologetics. Mm-hmm. Apologetics is cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's being able to defend your stances, and Andrew, you probably know way more than I do, but young in my Christian walk, I was really into apologetics. I was like, I would like to know every route around every aspect of somebody says that, Jesus was not the Savior. I could give like 5 different reasons why. Head knowledge. I was really into the head knowledge.
Yeah.
But honestly, what most people want is the heart knowledge.
Absolutely.
And you can't get that from this. You have to get that from experience.
That's right.
From experience in the Lord, or have an experience. I mean, if you're not a Christian person, have an experience with a human being.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually communication that's done through senses that we don't even know about.
Well, and that's a need. That's a human need.
We're made that way.
We need each other,
Yeah.
and we need that human interaction and touch. Okay, so let's. Okay, a couple of things real quick. First of all, folks, I would love it if you jump in here with this conversation. So
Yes.
reach out to us. You can reach out to us on the YouTube channel. Send a comment.
Sure.
Put a comment in the below the video, or you can send us an email at themcpodcast@gmail.com. Did I get that wrong?
Squared
the
podcast.
MC Squared Podcast. Gosh,
Podcast.
we need a
Podcast.
simpler email.
They were all taken.
They were all taken. So it's the MC Squared Podcast @gmail.com. And while we were literally recording, I got a notification that we have had 1,000 downloads.
Ooh, we were waiting on that last one.
Yeah,
right?
we were. It was all day. It was $9.99.
Andrew pretty much sat in front of his computer all day doing it. Yeah,
You're right.
No, he didn't.
No, I had to sign into 8 different. It's totally not true. 1,000 podcasts, and that is of the audio version. So we've had more. That is not counting the folks that have downloaded or viewed our videos, which. There hasn't been a lot of news about that. I mean, we're just started the channel. We're just getting out there doing that. So that's gonna take a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But very, very, very feel very privileged to have been able to do this with my friend Jimmy, and give a little bit of outlet to some opinions that very few people care to hear about. But hey, it's been fun to
1,000
fun to
people.
talk. Yeah,
I've heard it. I don't know if they care about it, but they've
not
heard
1,000. Yeah. So. Following up with this AI,
Okay, yeah.
you had a little bit
yeah,
that you
yeah.
had delved into here.
You
So.
bet. Yeah. So I downloaded one of the AI apps on my phone. It only gives me three questions per day, but I did ask a couple questions to it today that I wanted to read because I think this is really interesting stuff. So the first one is I said, give me an interesting fact about artificial intelligence. So here's an interesting fact. Says an interesting fact about artificial intelligence is that in 2016, Google's DeepMind AI program, Go Alpha, defeated the world champion in the ancient Chinese game called Go, which is considered one of the most complex games for machines to master. The AI victory marked a significant milestone
When was
in
this?
the development. 2016. So that's kind of a big deal. And then I also asked, give me a so. I kind of feel like you might be able to use AI for a little bit of like writer's block. I'm not saying that I would use this, but
People do.
I said, give me a good question to ask a podcast host. Here's what the question was.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, what inspired you to start your podcast? And answer the second one for me.
Okay.
What do you enjoy most about producing each episode?
I don't enjoy producing them. We need a producer. You're a pretty good producer. I'm miserable at it, but I love recording them.
Yeah.
I absolutely love doing them. I think my favorite part is that it feels like I just get to sit down with Jimmy and have a conversation. We can talk about whatever. And I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy the different perspective. And then it's a medium. If you've got something on your heart, something that's burning, and I don't always have that, but I do from time to time, then you've got some outlet to vent it, and then kind of put it out there, and people can go, that wasn't the greatest, or they can say, I really like that, I agree with that, or whatever, and having that freedom to do that, and what a great country we live in, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you realize
Yeah.
it is only because we live in a free country that this happens, that we can do this without the secret police busting in and shutting us down because, hey, we talked about an election or we talked about, vaccines or whatever it is we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We have that freedom. Still, I know it's under pressure, and this since these are recorded, someone may look back and go, "Well, gee whiz, those poor saps 5 years ago thought that they were going to live in a free country." But hopefully, we're going to do some things, with our voting, with our prayers, with our protesting, with our to ensure that we do have a free country. But,
Oh yeah.
all right, I want to bring this up real quick. Did you have another one? Because I
good.
wanted to. This is crazy.
I was going to do the life hack thing.
Okay,
but no,
let's do that. But I want to.
we'll do that. Let's do yours.
This is. Okay, I'm going to read you a headline,
Oh.
and you tell me if they used AI, or if they used. And I'm sorry, this is going to get me in a lot of trouble. You tell me if they used AI or if they used a public school education to write this headline. And this is I am in trouble. I know I'm in trouble. But I don't care because this is atrocious. And this has been on there all day. This has not been
Nobody's
fixed.
changed it?
Nobody's fixed. The headline says, Tips, Land, Vigo County Drug Force 2 Accused Meth Dealer.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Tips, land, to...
No.
No, not really.
Tips, Land, Vigo County Drug Force to accused meth dealer. Now, here's what I think happened. I think they, in their mind, the word land, I think they got confused. And they were either going to go lands or leads. Those are the two words they should have used.
It's got to be leads,
Yeah, but either way. So it should have been Tips, Leads, Vigo County Drug Force to accused meth dealer. Leads is a perfect word. Leads takes care of it.
Sounds good.
But if it's not, the other idea isn't terrible, and it's Tips, Lands, Vigo County. No. No. Tips, Lands, accused meth dealer in jail or something.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what happened here, but this is a word salad that needed to get fixed.
Grammarly didn't fix it.
Is that AI or is this a public school education? You tell me.
Well, I think it's a Grammarly issue. I use Grammarly a lot. It's spelled correctly, but Grammarly doesn't always pick up.
So you're telling me this is somewhat AI. You're telling me
Grammarly is AI. Yeah.
that someone just punched this in and didn't spell check.
Yeah. Well, they Grammarly checked it, but it doesn't always
nothing's
pick up on those.
Right.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense.
Yeah. It doesn't always pick up on those things. So
Yeah.
people are relying on a lot, including myself. I rely on that a lot now. And you go through and you don't misspell any words, but sometimes your sentences are jacked up. Is this the guy that got busted?
Yeah. I vote.
Did you see I commented on that?
I vote it's a public school education.
I commented on that.
Did you?
Yeah. They took weapons from the guy's house. Did you see that?
No, I didn't read the story.
Well,
I just couldn't get past the
They took his
headline.
2 squirrel rifle. They laid all of his.
His squirrel rifle.
They laid all of his weapons, a couple $100 bills.
Yeah.
He had 3 pistols, and he had 2 long rifles.
Okay.
They were looked like 22s for squirrels. So I did comment in to let them know you took the guy's
Thank
squirrel
God.
rifle. Squirrels will be safer.
Squirrels will be safer.
They'll be
now.
safer on the streets because you took the guy's squirrel rifle.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
We're going to hit more of them with our cars now because he's not shooting them during season or outside of season. Anyway.
Okay, so did you have enough?
Oh, yeah. I want to do, we want to kind of do like, I enjoyed doing that thing last time where we talked and we gave you those terms and, the kid terms and the sussy and whatever. Yeah. I wanted to start like a little section of our podcast where we do something every time. So I was looking through AI and I found we could talk about life hacks. So let's do one life hack. And I thought this was really interesting. So let's do one life hack every episode.
Okay.
Okay. Is that okay? I don't know. Comment it if it sucks. Let us know. Well, I'm okay with it. Anyway, I asked my AI because I'm really uninventive at all. I'm just asking AI everything these days. 3 questions a day. Other than that, I can't do it.
You're pretty inventive.
I said, give me a life hack. And it says, here's a life hack that might come in handy.
Okay.
When you want to make a decision, but you just can't choose between 2 or more options, try flipping a coin. It may sound simple, but when the coin is in the air and you're wanting to see which side it lands on, you might notice that which option you are actually hoping for. If you feel disappointed by one of the coin's decisions, the coin made a decision. When the coin makes the decision, then it might be a sign that you truly want the other option. So when you throw the coin into the air and it lands on tails or whatever, you're like, I don't really want tails. Well, if you're making the decision and they're equally weighted, then maybe you should go with the decision. No, okay, so this is very, very secular worldly, right? Which decision do I want? Not always the decision that feels really, really good inside is the one you should take, but try flipping a coin and it might take you in a direction, because when the coin's flying through the air, maybe this isn't a good life hack.
No, well, I think it leads to a good question. So I don't.
You flip coins?
No, and so let me ask you: Do you have issues making decisions? Do you ever have this kind of? I mean, would you face like the scenario you just talked about?
No,
I don't think I've ever come to. Now maybe which restaurant to go to.
That's it. That's a decision. My goodness, that's the hardest one to make.
Yeah.
So, But I mean,
generally, as a personality, I don't have problems making decisions. Now, I am not in any way going to throw my wife under the bus, Jimmy. So don't get me to do that.
No.
But I have known people like my wife who struggle with decisions. And in fact, when we first got married, I will say this. It was eye-opening how much time it took to purchase baby shoes. There were hundreds of decisions that had to be made for one pair, and it was so important that you got the exact right one.
You know, it helps with their arch at those ages, and when they're actually placing weight on their feet. No, but Andrew, I'm going to look at it from because I like being the counterpoint to this.
Okay, yeah.
I sometimes think that the female brain.
Oh man.
No, I'm just saying they bring more factors into a decision.
The views of the co-host are not necessarily the views of Andrew McNeil.
No, I'm saying they bring more factors into the decision than the male brain. I think they have a better understanding of consequences than testosterone-filled males.
Well, they do.
I think they're making a more well-rounded decision.
There's some truth to that, and I'm not just trying to get a little bit out of the doghouse here. I do think. So if we're talking about a decision, Andrea and I, I'll have, and a lot of guys will, have clear, this is why, blah, blah, blah. But then when we're discussing it, if we haven't made that decision yet, you're right. She'll bring up things I didn't think about.
Yeah.
Now, it's not just that she's another person, because that's good too. When you have 2 or 3 people, you're going to see different sides of an issue. But I think that there's probably some aspect of that. They're gonna see, and it's been a little bit difficult for me. But one of the best things that she's been able to do in our marriage life as we've walked has been to help keep me from major mistakes.
There you go.
Because she will see, hey, 2 or 3 steps out, this could be a problem. Where I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking, let's make this decision and go. And she's saying, and even if we do end up going that direction, if we work as partners, which also has not been easy, because we're both firstborn. We should get on here and talk sometime. We're both firstborn.
Well,
we're
my
both
wife and I are too.
So there's a little bit of butting heads, especially early on. But if I disregard those concerns, I will find myself in trouble, or I will go, why didn't I? Well, actually, I was presented with those issues. I were given some cautions that I didn't take, because of pride or whatever it is. But it's not my personality so it's a weakness that I have. I'll see which way I'm going. We're going to go. Great. That's fine. That's a strength. But a part of that is also then not taking into account some of the pitfalls, some of the problems that could be coming along, and I'm not prepared for them. Honestly, if in that preparation in case something goes sideways is not a bad. It's not a bad thing, and something I don't do well.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm by far no marriage counselor by any stretch of the imagination, but I really think, Andrew, and we've both been married for a while, those early years, you don't really know where to go with that, because either you don't make any decisions, and you just let everything go, or you try to take the lead and control everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, honestly, if tell young couples anything, is be prepared to talk through these times. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Absolutely. My wife wanted to talk through times. I battled this whole thing but if you can both come into it honestly in the fact and both say, mostly from the man side, I would say, to say, okay, we need to make these decisions together. We're going to make some right. We're going to make some wrong, but we're in it together. And don't make it a competition, because that's, I think a firstborn, a competitive person, anybody that's competitive at all, there's a little bit of like, I got that one right. So that's it's a great test in humility.
Yeah. Which I didn't have any of.
No, me neither.
It was
legitimately.
So it is, it's a challenge, and it's not right. I mean, I'm being a little bit vulnerable here because it does not make me look well, and that's probably somewhat accurate. But when your spouse brings up, well, this could go wrong here, or what about this, and that's to not take it as a challenge, and not get defensive. That's my number. That's probably a lot of people don't know this about me, but my wife knows, obviously. That's probably my number one weakness, is honestly, I will feel something strongly. This is, and I'm not saying that the decision that we're going to make is going to change, because we both are on agreement with that. But then, hey, for example, when we decided we were going to run for state representative, we were together on that. But she would say, well, what if? Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to hear it, because the decision had been made. We were moving full steam ahead. Yeah. And so that's a little bit of a pitfall. And I've had to come to realize what a huge asset that is, to have someone who can play through the scenarios. I know. And I'll give a real quick example. I know we're going to close out this episode here. But one of the really fascinating stories is, and I'm trying not to butcher his name, but it's the Norwegian explorer who was first to go to the South Pole. He also went to the North Pole successfully, and I don't know if he did the North Pole first. I don't know. He did go there, but I don't think he was first. He did the Northwest Passage, perhaps. Okay. But he was racing with the British. It's a fascinating story. Mm-hmm. Amundsen, I think, is his last name. Anyway, and I probably butchered that. I hate that. But anyway, because we're just off the fly. We didn't have this prepared. Yeah. But it was a race to the south. If you read his accounts, he went through every possible scenario of what could go wrong in that trip. He went through it for a year or two, preparing. Everything he did in that trip was a preparation of what could go wrong, and he would be prepared for it. Mm-hmm. They had the leadership lessons in this are incredible. He had a rule of 20 miles a day, no matter what. If we're feeling good and we feel like we could go 25, nope, we stop at 20. Yeah. If we're feeling terrible and the weather's awful, we're doing 20. We just got to do our 20 and we'll be done. Yeah. I mean, everything was about consistency. Everything was about the efficiency of what they were doing. Everything was thought out and he just destroyed the competition. His competition literally died on the way back. And how discouraging is this? They were British. They were making a big prideful statement of, even though he died in it, he gave it the college try. The British, it's just like, we died in the attempt, and that was almost more noble than actually doing it for them. It's pretty funny, but they get there to the South Pole, and they take pictures of themselves. They recovered this off the bodies, and of course they had diaries written. They're already dying when they get to the South Pole. He'd beaten them by a month. Wow. And they have a picture with the Norwegian flag there, and they had left he wasn't taunting them or anything, but left him a little bit of meat or whatever in a can or something. It was pretty discouraging, but anyway, it's a great story. We should probably talk about that sometime because there's some really great leadership lessons. Well, anyway, folks, it has been a blast talking with you. Hopefully, you weren't too bored. And this entire episode was recorded by a computer-generated video. No, that's not true. But hopefully, that day doesn't come because I like interacting with people, and so we want to hear from you. You can email us again at themcsquaredpodcast@gmail.com. You can comment on YouTube. You can look me up at andrewtmcneil.com. Interact with me there on my blog. We've got a notes section. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. So's Jimmy. Instagram. And we love to hear from you. We love to have conversations. And if there's a subject you want us to cover, or there's some more information that you want to give to the show, we'd be happy to pass that along and maybe even talk about it. So for Jimmy McKenna, this is Andrew McNeil, and we are signing off. Thank you, folks, for listening to MC Squared Podcast.
All right. See you next time.
I got a fire in me. You're gonna set to burn.